मतिरस्ति गुरौ मम पाहि गुरो ब्रवीमि संस्कृतं वाचा ध्यायामि संस्कृतं हृदा कुर्वे सेवाञ्च कायेन वन्दे संस्कृतमातरम् यो नरः संस्कृतव्योम्नि ह्यालयं रमते मुदा संस्कृतिं चैव संस्कारं विन्दते नात्र संशयः। Ram Ram Ram. Welcome to the first class of Learn to Chant Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram. This course will be on every Monday and Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. The teacher of the course is Shri Rajesh Anandaramu. Sir has more than 20 years of experience in teaching Sanskrit and shlokas, and he has successfully completed Learn to Chant Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram batch 1 and also Learn to Chant Mukunda Mala Stotram. And he is also very proficient in Bhagavad Gita and Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram and many more stotras like this. So I heartily welcome to this class, sir. Thank you. I have to mention we all are so fortunate that he is going to teach Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram for us. Here is a small tip. Of course, you all have joined this class through the join now button through our portal, but still, as soon as you want to come to this class, click on www.sanskritfromhome.org and log in with your credentials, student credentials, and that page will take you to the student dashboard where you can see this tab, see this box where you only after teacher starts the class you'll get this join now button. Hope you all have understood and have come through like this only. If you face any problem, kindly reach to us. And here are some webinar guidelines. You can always join from PC, Android, and any iOS device. You can use raise hand button for if you have any doubts, you can use that. For Q&A box, you can ask any questions to the teacher. Always be muted unless and until teacher asks you to mute. Always use headphones for a better audio quality. If you have any doubts, questions, and anything you have or suggestion, you can always write to us sanskritfromhome@vyomalabs.in. And all the script of the Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram has been uploaded in the course content page. You can always go and check. Thank you. Ram Ram Ram. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sahana Bhagini. Ram Ram Ram. Gururev gatihi gurumev bhaje gurunaiva sahasmi namo gurave na guroh paramam shishurasmi guroho matirasti gurau mama pahi guro Shri Shailesha Dayapatram Dhibhaktyadi Gunarnavam Yatindra Pravanam Vande Ramyaja Mataram Munim Hayagriva Hayagriva Hayagriveti Yovadet Tasya Nissarate Vani Janhu Kanya Pravahavat Vagishadhyaha Sumanasaha Sarvarthanam Upakrame Yannatva Kritakrityasyuhu Tannamami Gajananam Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham karishyami siddhirbhavatu me sada Vina Venkatesham nanatho nanatha sada Venkatesham smarami smarami Hare Venkatesha prasida prasida Priyam Venkatesha prayacha prayacha Vasudeva sutandevam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Asadhya sadhaka swamin asadhyam tava kim vada Ramaduta daya sindho Matkaryam sadhaya prabho. Ram Ram Ram. Namaskaram to all of you who are present in this class today for the Learn to Chant Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram. Vishnu Sahasranama. This is like Sahana Bhagini mentioned, this is the second batch that we are doing. So welcome to all of you. Sandhya, if you can go to the next slide. Okay, first of all, as I said, Swagatam to all of you. Second, my namaskaram to all the elders who are in the class. I'm given to understand when I see the list, there are many people who are Jnana Vruddhaha, Vayo Vruddhaha. There are many people. Namaskaram to all of you. Pranamaha. I'm very happy and fortunate that we will be able to chant the Vishnu Sahasranama together. That's my fortunate that I will be able to kind of chant along with all of you. Also, namaskaram to all the young kids and other people who have joined and friends who have joined. We will learn to chant the Vishnu Sahasranama. Also, thank you for joining the class. Like Sahana Bhagini mentioned, we will have this journey of learning to chant Vishnu Sahasranama together in this. Just to kind of set, so this is what we will cover today. So Prarthana we just finished. We will see what is Vishnu Sahasranama, where was it told, how was it told, why is Vishnu Sahasranama, that is one. Then we'll also see what is Vishnu Sahasranama, who told it, when did it come, etc. And what is the course content, what are we going to cover in this course. Then I will also briefly touch upon what is the format of the class. Then we will go to pronunciation guidelines, some basic guidelines of how do we pronounce as per the standards that we have set inside the Vyoma University. Whatever we have set, we will talk about it slightly. And then we'll also see, is it Sanskrit a prerequisite to the course? Yes, no, etc. And then if time permits, we will do some dhyana shlokas. Else we will do the dhyana shlokas starting from the next class. So that is what we are going to cover today. So with that, so going to the Vishnu Sahasranama stage, Sandhya, if you can go to the next one. Like many of you will already know, where is Vishnu Sahasranama, when did it come? Of course, Vishnu Sahasranama, just by the name, it means that it is the 1,000 names of Vishnu. Sahasranama, Vishnoha Sahasranama. So 1,000 names of Vishnu. This comes in, as many of you might already know, this comes in Mahabharata, in the Anushasanika Parva. In Anushasanika Parva, Moksha Dharma, when Moksha Dharma was being taught by Bhishma to Yudhishthira. So like all of you will know, but just for the benefit of somebody who doesn't know, just ensure that all of us are in the same understanding. So at the end of Mahabharata Yuddha, Lord Krishna tells Yudhishthira that if there is one person who on this earth today who knows all the dharma, who is a practitioner of the dharma, there is only one person, that is Bhishma Pitamaha. Please go and learn all dharmas from him. So as all of you know, in the Mahabharata Yuddha, Bhishma Pitamaha will be lying on the bed of arrows. So then then Dharmaraya with Yudhishthira goes to Bhishma, and there's a long conversation that happens wherein Bhishma teaches him all the dharmas, different dharma, Raja Dharma, Kshatriya Dharma, etc., etc. Like that, there is very long ones. So in that, when in the Moksha Dharma, in Anushasana Parva, when Yudhishthira asks the question, Ko dharmaha sarva dharmanam bhavataha paramo mataha kinjapan muchyate jantuhu janma samsara bandhanat. Yudhishthira, being a very practitioner who follows the dharma, he asked the question, according to you, O Bhishma Pitamaha, now you have taught me so many dharmas, but according to you, which is the dharma, which is the one thing which is eternal dharma, which is the ultimate dharma that one has to do, or which will liberate people. In fact, he uses the word jantuhu, kim japan muchyate jantuhu. He doesn't say human beings, he doesn't say man, he doesn't say woman, he doesn't say animals, he says jantuhu, which means living being, any living being. Paramo mataha, what is the which is the eternal dharma, which by chanting which any living being samsara bandhanat muchyate, he will be liberated from the samsara bandhana, which will be freed from the bondage of samsara. That's what the question that he asks. That is when Bhishma Pitamaha talks about Vishnu Sahasranama. So there is, when you go, if you go to the Palashruti, there is about 7 shlokas. Yaidam shunaya nityam yaschapi parikirtayet nashubam prapniyat kinchito somutreha chamanamaha Kshatriyo. So there are about 7-8 shlokas talking about the importance of what somebody can get. One is, of course, the ultimate is people, all jantus can get liberated from the cycle of or the bondage of samsara. Apart from that, a Kshatriya he will get the Vijaya, he'll get the Vijaya. A Brahmana could learn Vedas, a student can learn Vidya, like that. Somebody who is deceased can get freed from the disease, like that. There is a list of benefits that Vishnu Sahasranama gives, that is there in the Palashruti that we can kind of see. So all this, so this is like the Ramabana. This is like one Vishnu Sahasranama can give solutions for all the things. Different scholars have given different comments and what are the benefits of Vishnu Sahasranama. But we will not go much in detail, because that itself is it will be a course by itself, right? So we'll come back to the topic. So this is a conversation between Bhishma Pitamaha and Yudhishthira. The important to note is when Bhishma Pitamaha is talking about Vishnu Sahasranama, when he's teaching the Vishnu Sahasranama, the incarnation of Vishnu, which is Lord Krishna, is there present. In the presence of Lord Krishna only this happens. The Vishnu Sahasranama is being taught or is being preached to Yudhishthira in the presence of the Lord Krishna only. So which means it is approved. So told by a practitioner to another practitioner, one great person to another great person in the front of Bhagavan himself. That is the importance or the greatness of Vishnu Sahasranama. This is, I'm trying to kind of touch very, very minute point itself. We will see in one of the class, if we can get somebody and talk one class, only one class, we'll keep it for importance of Vishnu Sahasranama. But of course, there are many, as I said, many scholars who have spoken about the importance. I would definitely recommend you to kind of go through those YouTube links and kind of see that. We will not be covering that in this class. So that is the context. That's where the stage is. That's where the Vishnu Sahasranama comes in. Now, we also saw about that's Vishnu Sahasranama is nothing but the 1,000 names of Lord Mahavishnu. Right? So we'll go to the next. Yeah, if you can go to the next. Okay. So we'll talk about the course content. What is covered in this course is we have the Dhyana shlokas. Before we start the Vishnu Sahasranama, there are about 30 Dhyana shlokas. We will cover that. We will cover the 108 Vishnu Sahasranama, 108 shlokas, which covers the 1,000 namas of Vishnu. So 108 shlokas, that is the Vishnu Sahasranama. And then Palashruti of 33 shlokas. So totally 30 plus 108 plus 33. This is what we cover in this course. This is, as we know, this is the learning to chant Vishnu Sahasranama. This is only a chanting, learning to chant. Okay. So which means what is not covered is we are not covering the meaning in this course. Of course, for people who have registered already, there is another course which is already done for the Vishnu Sahasranama with meaning as per the Shankara Bhashya. You can kind of go through that, browse it, and take that course. It's a very well defined course which has all the meanings. So you can go through that meanings also. So so meaning is not covered in this in this course. Today is the only class where we are talking about some of the context, some of the background, etc. But from next class onwards, we will focus only on chanting the Vishnu Sahasranama. We are also not covering any of the stories, explanation, commentary, all these things we are not touching, because each of the nama, if we go to the either the stories or explanation or commentary, each nama will take at least about 1 class or 2 class minimum, right? So like that, we might have to do 1,000 classes before to cover the 1,000. So we will not get into that. In this course is only meant for chanting. While we will touch upon some of the grammatical specialities in terms of the pronunciation itself, but we will not get into talking about why is it pronounced like this. So those grammatical rules or peculiarity, why it is, we will not get into. So we'll just follow, okay, this is how it has been taught, this is the right way of pronouncing, and we will chant that way. That's all. But we'll not get into the why it is pronounced, we need to be pronounced. Only in this class today, after this class, we'll talk about grammatical peculiar. What are some of the pronunciation tips that we follow in this class? Only in the first class, so that you can be aware. For some of the people who have attended the other courses, whether it is Bhagavad Gita or Lalita Sahasranama or Mukundamala or any other, you already are familiar. For some of the new joiners, this will be some of the tips of pronunciation we will cover in today's class. But after that, we will not touch upon the grammatical questions. So if you want more details, there are specific courses on what about pronunciation or the other grammatical rules. So you can join those courses, and then you can run them. So this is about the course content, right? Okay. With that, we'll go to the next one. What is it? So generic format of the class, like Sahana Bhagini mentioned in the beginning. So the classes will be on every Monday and Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So that is how we will have, right? And this will be the format of the mentor-mentee or the Ucharana-Anucharana format. So I will be teaching. There will be panelists who will be there in the class who will do the Anucharana. The request is that you can be on mute and keep repeating when the panelists are repeating the shloka. So I will teach the shloka once, they will be repeating twice. So you can also be repeating, being on mute only. That's how you will also learn. So we will first learn the first pada, which is 1 quarter. Then we'll do half, which is the two quarters, and then we'll do the full shloka. That's how we will learn. So the panelists who are there will be repeating twice. So I repeat again, you be on mute and keep repeating along with the panelists, so that you learn it when you are in the class, right? If you have any questions, you can raise your hands. Maybe at the end of the class, last 5 minutes, we will keep it for any questions that are there. Any questions related to pronunciation or anything, we can answer those, right? And then what we'll also do is, in the next class, we will revise what is being covered in the previous class. So let's say if we go to the second class, whatever is covered in the first class, we will cover that. We'll do once chanting and then move to the next shlokas. That's how the format will be. So first 10 minutes we'll do the revision, 40 minutes we'll do the new shlokas, and then last 10 minutes we'll do the practice of the shlokas that are taught on that day, and then maybe we'll end up with Q&A question if there are anything, right? And while we are also doing learning this, there'll be some specific classes meant for only revision. At that point of time, let's say maybe after regular intervals, maybe after 30 shlokas or 25 shlokas, we will keep at least 1 or 2 classes only for revision. So if there is somebody is lagging on, or in terms of you don't know how to pronounce, we can cover in those classes. That's the revision classes. This will be the whole generic format of the class. I guess with that, I will hand it over to Sandhya to give us some tips on pronunciation. I guess we are at 7:20. Okay, so I don't think we will have time after this for the after the pronunciation tips for the Dhyana Shloka. So we will end the class after the pronunciation tips for today. Next class will be on Monday with the where we will start with the Dhyana Shlokas. Sandhya, over to you.
Ram Ram Ram, Dhanyavadaha. Once again, a warm welcome to everyone who is attending this Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram session. So these are some of what you are seeing on the screen. These are some of the topics that I would be talking about. which will give you some basic tips about pronunciation of any stotra, any shloka or mantra. So why is that pronunciation is important? A correct pronunciation is very important for any language, for communicating effectively without any misinterpretations, without changing any meanings. And specifically more important when it comes to chanting of shlokas and stotrams. So we need to focus on where we put more effort, like more prana, we call it as, or where we need to prolong a letter, or where we do not prolong a letter, where we have to split a word or split the padam, like where we have to take a pause in the stotram. And there could also be specific pronunciation rules that we would have to follow. The reason why we have to do this is a small change can change the meaning of the stotram or the word or the verse very drastically. So that is why we consider that correct pronunciation is very important. Like it was being said earlier, some of you who have taken the courses earlier in Vyoma might be familiar with few of the aspects that I would be talking about, but it would be a good revision. So first of all, what we are seeing here is a Varnamala chart. So how Varnas are being classified, categorized. So I'll spend a minute on this chart. So we have primarily the Swaras, the first category, Swaraha, which is further divided into Hrasvaha, Dirghaha and Plutaha. Swaraha, which is further divided into these three categories. Then we have Ayogavaha, which is again divided into four. Anuswaraha, Visargaha, Jihwamuliyaha and Upadhamaniyaha. So Swaraha and Ayogavaha. Then we have Vyanjanani, which is divided into Vargiya Vyanjanani and Avargiya Vyanjanani. And we have other things like Yamaha, then we have Mridu Vyanjanani, Karkasha Vyanjanani. But for the context of Vishnu Sahasranama class, we will cover Swaraha, Ayogavaha, Vyanjanani, and of course Alpa Prana and Mahaprana Aksharas. So we will talk about this in little more detail in the upcoming slides. So the first and the foremost, Swaraha, vowels. Swayam Rajante iti Swaraha. The Swaraha shines on its own. It doesn't need any adhara. It is on its own. Can be pronounced independently. So that is why Swayam Rajante iti Swaraha. So there is this verse. Ekamatro bhavet hrasvaha dvimatro dirgha uchyate trimatrastu plutogneyaha vyanjanantu ardhamatrakam. This is to do with how we pronounce, how much time we take to pronounce a swara or a vyanjana. So when we pronounce hrasva swara, we take one matra kala. Matra kala can be defined by how the time taken to blink our eyelids once. So to pronounce a hrasva swara, we take one matra kala. To pronounce a dirgha swara, we take two matra kalas. So this is the time taken to pronounce a short vowel and a long vowel. So if you notice here, the hrasva swara short vowels are a, I, U, R and L. And dirgha swara are A, I, U, R, E, I, O, Au. So this is the distinction or the categorization in swaraha, where short vowels and long vowels based on the time taken to pronounce. Now, let us take an example from Vishnu Sahasranama itself and try to identify some of the hrasva swaraha and dirgha swaraha. So if you look at the verse here, so let's take cha. Okay, so in cha we have ch plus so it is a hrasva swara. If we take ta in putatma, ta plus a is a there is a dirgha here. So it takes a longer time than the time you take to pronounce cha. Similarly, pu, there is a dirgha swara here. Sakshi, dirgha. Akshara, ra in this akshara, ra. Here it is a short. So we need not prolong the vowel here. So this is how we identify hrasva swaraha and dirgha swaraha. So in these cases where you are seeing cha, ta, ksha, all this, so it is combined with the vyanjana. So if you split this, it is cha will be ch plus a. Similarly, ta will be ta plus e. So these are short vowels. Now let us look at vyanjanani. Vyanjanani, the time taken to pronounce a vyanjanakshara is ardha matrakam. That is not one matra kala also, half matra kala. So what happens here is the vyanjanani is further divided into vargiya vyanjanani and avargiya vyanjanani. Vargiya vyanjanani because they fall in specific vargas like the way you're seeing now. Kavarga, chavarga, tavarga, tavarga, and we have pavarga. So these are called as vargiya vyanjanani. And then you have avargiya vyanjanani, which is nothing but yara, lava, shasha, saha, which doesn't fall in these vargas. They are not grouped in any of these vargas. So in Vargiya Vyanjanani, like I said earlier, there are 5 vargas. K, k, g, gh, nya, cha, cha, ja, jha, nya, ta, tha, da, dha, na, ta, tha, d, dha, na, pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. So you might have a question that why ardhamatra? Because it is pronounced as k, it is not pronounced as ka. Only when a vyanjanam joins with a swara, it becomes a gunitaksharam. So that is when, like the way you are seeing in this verse, ma plus a. So if you look at this example here, Ramaha, r plus a plus ma plus aha is Ramaha. So this becomes a gunitaksharam. Ra is a gunitaksharam. Maha is a gunitaksharam. Swa is a samyuktaksharam. So it is when it joins, when the vyanjanam joins with the swara, it becomes a gunitaksharam. Then we have avargiya vyanjanani. We have 8 in this. Ya, ra, la, va, sh, sa, ha. And then we have anunasika. Anunasikas are the nasal consonants, which is always the 5th letter of the each varga. The 5th letter of the vargas in the Vargiya Vyanjanani are called as anunasika aksharani. Ayogavaha, one of the distinctions we saw in the Varnamala chart after the Swaraha was Ayogavaha. So Ayogavaha is divided into 4. Anuswaraha, Visargaha, Jivhamuliyaha, and Upadhmaniyaha. And the symbols that you see on the right hand side is a representation of these categories. So Anuswaraha with a dot on the top, Visargaha with 2 dots, Jivhamuliyaha and Upadhmaniyaha. This is the symbol. I will give you a context of where these are used in the upcoming slides. First, let us look at Anuswaraha. Anuswaraha, like I said, the dot above the letter is Anuswara. Swaram anuprayojyate iti Anuswaraha. It follows the swara. Like for example, im, this way. So Anuswara is, so when you look at a script, in some places you see like, paramam in this example, there is a dot on the top of ma, right? If you look at in aham, there is in ma is there, but it is written as the ma, the vyanjanakshara, and not as a dot on the top. So when the Anuswara dot is put is when the next letter is a consonant, when it is a vyanjanakshara. So in this case, after ma and after the Anuswara, there is sha, which is a avargiya vyanjana. So there is a Anuswara dot on the ma letter. So it is paramam shishurasmi. Then we have in this aham atra asmi. So we have ma and then we have a. Okay. So in this case, since this is a swara, ma is written and it is not a dot on the top of ha. So because there is a swara after this ma, it is ma is written and not the anuswara dot on the top of ha. So you might find the scripts where you distinguish the the script way, and you might have a doubt why it is ma in some places, why it is a dot in certain places. So let's look at the next one. This is continuing with the anuswara rule. We generally call this as Varga Panchama rule. So what happens here is, in the case of anuswara followed by any Vargiya Vyanjana, the anuswara is replaced by the fifth letter of the corresponding Varga. So let us look at an example. Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet is there. There is anuswara and then we have dha. So this dha is in tavarga. The na. So the fifth letter of tavarga is na. Okay. So prasanna vadanam dhyayet is one way of pronouncing. The other way, if we follow the Varga Panchama rule, how the way we pronounce is prasanna vadanam dhyayet. So instead of ma anuswara, we pronounce the fifth letter of tavarga, which is na, and that is because the next letter is vyanjanakshara, which is dha, which falls under in the tavarga. So prasanna vadanam dhyayet sarva vignopashantaye. So similarly, if you look at Shashi Varnam Chaturbhujam. So Varnam, on top of na, there is this anuswara dot. And then we have Chaturbhujam Cha, which is a Vyanjanakshara. So Shashi Varnam Chaturbhujam. So fifth letter of Chavarga. Shashi Varnam Chaturbhujam. So we always look at the fifth letter of the corresponding Varga when we pronounce when we have the anuswara. We look at the next akshara, which is the vyanjana, and replace it by the fifth letter of that particular Varga, which is Varga Panchama. So this is an optional rule. We follow this in our chantings, in either Vishnu Sahasranama or any other chantings. And so if you're following this Varga Panchama, it would be good if you follow this throughout, like instead of chanting in one place Varga Panchama and in other places Shashi Varnam Chaturbhujam. So it is not correct. So it is better to follow one rule. So you can follow either Varga Panchama or chant this as Shashi Varnam Chaturbhujam. With Varga Panchama rule, Shashi Varnam Chaturbhujam. So this is an optional one. The other rule corresponding to the anuswara is whenever you have after the anuswara ya or va. So let us look at an example here where we have ya. So paramam yo mahattejaha. So we have anuswara followed by ya. So in this case, paramam yo mahattejaha is one way of pronouncing. So what with the rule, how we pronounce is paramayyo mahattejaha. So whenever there is anuswara followed by ya, so we pronounce this differently. Similarly, if the anuswara is followed by va, in this case, you can look at the Shuklambaradharam example again. We have Shuklambaradharam Vishnum. We have anuswara followed by va. So one way of pronouncing is Shuklambaradharam Vishnum. So we are pronouncing the anuswara completely. So when the other way of pronouncing is Shuklambaradharam Vishnum. So there is a difference in the way we pronounce. So these are some of the pronunciation aspects related to anuswara. So don't worry if I'm going little fast, because these aspects will be touched upon by your teacher during the chanting. He will be pointing out these aspects again with at relevant places with examples. Then comes the visarga. We all know that visarga is the two vertical dots which follow the letter, like aha, ihi, uhu. So generally it takes the pronunciation of the last letter of that word. Like for example, in this case, harihi. So we have rihi. So harihi, ra, and e, ra plus e. So harihi. Similarly, guruhu, harehe, yehe, uhu, ihi. So it takes the last swara, however the swara is, whether it is a, e, u or e. There is a difference between visarga and ha. So we should not get confused between the ha letter, which is the avargiya vyanjana, which comes in yara, lava, shasha, sa, ha. That is ha. Visarga is different. So for example, the two dots here you see is visarga, but here in the durariha, it is the letter ha. There is no visarga here. In sahaha, there is a visarga after ha. So you should note that ha and visarga are two different things. When I spoke about the yoga vahaha, there were 4 categories: Anuswara, Visarga, Jivha Muliya and Upadmaniya. So we covered Anuswara and Visarga. Now let us look at Jivha Muliya and Upadmaniya. So when a Visarga, the two dots, it is followed by Ka or Kha, the Jivha Muliya replaces. It gets replaced by another letter, which is Jivha Muliya. So let us look at the example. Here it is Kamaha, Kamakritkantaha, Kamaha, Kamapradaha, Prabhuhu is there. So here after Visarga, we have Ka is there. So which follows the rule. When Visarga is succeeded by Ka or Kha. So if we chant this whole line, Kamaha, Kamakritkantah, Kamah, Kamapradah, Prabhuhu. So we don't chant the complete Visarga here. So Kantah, Kama, Kama, Pradah, Prabhuhu. So Kantaha, Kamaha. No, we don't chant it that way. So whenever there is Visarga is succeeded by Ka or Kha, Jivha Muliya will replace. Similarly, when Visarga is followed by Pa or Pa, it is Upadmaniya which replaces. So in the same example, if you see, Bhuta Bhavya Bhavannathaha Pavanaha Pavano Nalaha. So we have Visarga and Pa, and then again after Pavanaha, Visarga and Pa. So in this case, again, we don't chant the complete Visarga. We chant it as Bhuta Bhavya Bhavannatha Pavanah Pavano Nalaha. So this is Jivha Muliyaha and Upadmaniyaha. So when Visarga is succeeded by Ka and Kha, Jivha Muliya. When Visarga is followed by Pa or Pa, it is Upadmaniya. So let us look at the next one. Visarga when it is followed by Sakaraha. Again, in this case, we do not pronounce the complete Visarga. Namas samasta bhutanam. We do not pronounce it. Namaha samasta bhutanam. No. We pronounce this as Namas samasta bhutanam adi bhutaya bhuprite. So we add, you can hear another s form here. Namas samasta bhutanam. So that is how we pronounce the Visarga when it is followed by Sakara. We do not pronounce the complete Visarga in this case. What happens when Visarga is followed by Ksha? So Visarga plus Ksha. So for example, Samadukkha Sukhaha Kshami. So in this case, unlike the previous example where you saw in Jivha Muliya or Upadmaniya, or when it is followed by Sa letter, in this case, we pronounce the complete Visarga when there is Ksha after Visarga. So Samadukkha Sukhaha Kshami. Sukhaha Kshami, full Visarga has to be chanted. So in this verse, if you see, Nakshatrane mir nakshatri Kshamaha Kshamas Samihanaha Kshamaha Kshamas Samihanaha. You can see the difference very clearly here. Kshamaha, full Visarga, because Ksha is there. After Kshamaha, because Sa is there, Kshamaha Kshamas Samihanaha. So that is the difference when the Visarga is followed by the letter Ksha. Now, the most important ones, Alpa Prana and Maha Prana Aksharas. So generally, the letters which are pronounced with less effort, less prana or a are called as Alpa Pranaha. They take less effort or less prana. So in each varga, if you see, for example, Kavarga, Kha and Gha are Mahaprana, the rest are Alpaprana. Alpapranas are those which take less effort. Mahapranas are those which take more effort to pronounce. So we have the first, third and fifth letters generally Alpapranas, and second and fourth are Mahapranaksharas in Vargiya Vyanjanani. In Avargiya Vyanjanani, the first four are Alpaprana and last four are Mahaprana. We place more importance when pronouncing the Mahapranaksharas in Vargiya Vyanjanani. We highlight it more in Vargiya Vyanjanani usually. So, K, K, G, G, Nya, Ch, Ch, J, J, Nya, T, T, D, D, N, T, T, D, D, N, P, P, B, B, M. So there is a confusion which prevails generally because of the influence of regional languages. Pa is pa after pa, the Mahaprana pa. Some people pronounce it as fa, which is not correct. We follow pa, pa, pa. And when it comes to Avargiya Vyanjanani, ya, ra, la, va, sha as in Shiva, sha as in Shanmukha, sa and ha. So this is Alpapranaksharas and Mahapranaksharas. So again, looking at the example of Shuklambaradharam Vishnu. So you can now very easily identify the Alpaprana and Mahapranaksharas. So Ba is Alpaprana, Dha is Mahaprana. And we have Na Anunasika. Cha is Alpaprana, Bha is Mahaprana, Da is Alpaprana. In Dhyayet, Dha is Mahaprana. In Vighna, Gha is Mahaprana and Na is Anunasika Alpaprana. Ta, Pa are all Alpaprana. So this is how you identify the Alpapranaksharas and Mahapranaksharas. So the, it is one of the very spoken ways of, practicing Alpaprana and Mahaprana is when you keep a paper in front of your face, when you're chanting and when you pronounce Alpaprana letter, the paper would not move. When you pronounce a, Mahapranaksara, the paper will move. That is how you identify like how much effort is being put on pronouncing a Mahapranaksara. For example, Shuklambaradharam, you can see the paper moving. Vishnum, that way. So we put more effort when we pronounce the Mahapranaksharas. Nasal letters, which is the Anunasikaha, which is nothing but the fifth letter of all the Vargas. So which we saw earlier, like if we take this example, specific example, Vanamali, Na is the fifth letter of Tavarga, Anunas. It's an Anunasika nasal letter. Then we have Vanamali, Gadi, Sharngi. This is in Sharngi, the highlighted one. This is the fifth letter of Kavarga. Shankhi, again in this, Shankhi is the fifth letter of Kavarga. Chakri, Chanandaki, Na is the fifth letter of Tavarga. Shriman, Narayano, Na, fifth letter of Tavarga. Vishnu, Na, fifth letter of Tavarga. Vishnur, Vasudevo, Bhirakshatu. So we have, there is, again, generally there is a confusion between Na and Na. Na, ta, tha, da, dha, na. This is the fifth letter of Tavarga. Ta, tha, da, dha, na. Fifth letter of Tavarga. If you look at this verse, you can again try to identify Kamadevaha, fifth letter of Pavarga, Ma. Kantaha, Kantaha, the half na here, fifth letter of Tavarga. Na, again, fifth letter of Tavarga. Vishnu, Na is fifth letter of Tavarga. Vironanto, fifth letter of Tavarga. Dhananjayaha, Dhananjayaha. Here we have fifth letter of Chavarga. Dhananjayaha. So these are the nasal letters or called as Anunasikaha. So if you remember, just to highlight, I spoke about the Varga Panchama, the fifth letter. Whenever there is a Anuswara and is followed by the Vargiya Vyanjana, the fifth letter of the corresponding Varga will take the place of the Anuswara. So which are the Anunasikas? Now you know what are the Anunasikas, which are nothing but the fifth letters of each of the Vargas. Then Sa, Sha and Sha. So usually either because of the regional influence or the way it's been learned, generally we tend to get confused between these three, Sa, Sha and Sha. All these three are pronounced differently. Sa, Sha, Sha. Sa is as it comes in Sarvashaha. Sa, Sarvashaha. Sa. Then Sha as it comes in Shiva, Shakara, Yara, Lava, the first Sha after Va, Sha. In this case, Shrutva Dharmana Sheshena, this Sha which you are seeing in highlighted yellow. Again, in Sarvashaha, the last letter Sha is this Sha, which is as in Shivasha. Then we have Sha, which is as in Shanmukha Sha. So, Shrutva Dharmana Sheshena Pavanani cha Sarvashaha Yudhishthira Shantanavam Punarevabhya Bhashata. Sha again in Punarevabhya Bhashata Sha. So, there is a difference in the way we pronounce Sa, Sha and Sha. And do not worry if you are not able to pronounce it differently at the moment. You will pick it up over practice and chanting. Then comes the Samyukta-aksharani. Samyukta-aksharani is nothing but the compound letters, Vyanjana plus Vyanjana. When there is two Vyanjanas or more than two Vyanjanas join, they become Samyukta-aksharani, or we call it as compound letters. So if you see in this verse, Shuklam Baradharam. So we have the first one, if you see, it's a Gunita Akshara. If you split this, when you do Varnacheda, Sh plus O, Shu. This is a Gunita Akshara. But when you look at this highlighted part in yellow, we have K, L plus A. So we have two Vyanjana Aksharas and one Swara A. This is a compound letter. This is a Samyukta Akshara. Again, if you see the next one, we have M and B and A. This is again a compound letter, Samyukta Akshara. So, Ra, Dha, Ra are all Gunita Aksharas. Then we have Vishnu in this Sh and N and U Swara, and then Anuswara is also there. This is again a Samyukta Akshara. Shashi Varnam Chaturbhujam. So, in this Varnam, Na, R and Anuswara is a Samyukta Akshara. Chaturbhujam, again you will find Bhujam, Samyukta Akshara. So, like this, when a Vyanjana joins with a Vyanjana, you have the Samyukta Aksharam. Prasanna Vadanam, N, Pra, N are all Samyukta Aksharas here. Dhyayet, Dha and Ya, Samyukta Akshara. Vignopa, Gha and Na, Samyukta Akshara. Shantaye, N and Ta is a Samyukta Akshara. So, I hope this is clear. So, summarizing why pronunciation is so important. Yeah, like I said earlier, even if we change one letter also, it can make a lot of difference to the meaning, the interpretation. So, which is very clear from this verse you see now. Yadyapi bahunadhishe tathapi patha putra vyakaranam Swajanah Shwajanah Ma Bhut Sakalam Shakalam Sakrit Shakrit. So what it says is, even if you do not study much, at least study basic grammar, which you can do by joining the grammar courses and following the pronunciation aspects. Swajanaha Shwajanaha Ma Bhut means, see, Swajana means relatives. Swajanaha. If the swa gets replaced by sha, it becomes shwajanaha, which means group of dogs. So there is a difference between swajanaha and shwajanaha. Just by changing one, if we pronounce sa as sha, then the meaning itself is relatives is changed to a different meaning altogether. Similarly, sakalam shakalam. Sakalam means entire or total, complete. Shakalam means one fragment of one small piece, one part of it. So if I, instead of telling sa, if I say just sha in all these examples, the entire meaning is completely changed. Sakalam, shakalam. Sakrit, shakrit. Sakrit means at once. Sakrit, at once. Shakrit means cow dung. So even a small pronunciation, like changing one letter or one swara, can make a vast difference. Like one of the examples I always give in my other classes also, like, Shiva and Shiva. So there is only a swara difference, not even a vyanjana. Shiva is Ishvara, Shiva. Shiva is Parvati. So why both are same, Shiva and Shiva we considered as one together. But what I intend to say is, even a difference in the way we change the swara or the vyanjana, whatever the way we pronounce, the meaning could be totally different. So it's very important for us to observe these pronunciation aspects. So having said this, it's not that we want you to be so worried about, like, is it so difficult for me? So should I know Sanskrit to learn this stotram, or should I first attend the grammar class and then come here? Or, really, don't be so much bothered about it. Sanskrit knowledge is not a prerequisite for it, for attending or for learning any of these stotrams. It is just that we are emphasizing on the pronunciation aspect here. Why it is important for us to listen, observe, and pick up the pronunciation aspects. So that is the reason why we cover this basic pronunciation tips. And it also comes over a period of time by carefully listening and practicing the chanting. So no, Sanskrit is not Sanskrit knowledge or grammar knowledge is not a prerequisite, but we just want to emphasize that so that you give attention to the pronunciation aspects when the teacher highlights those aspects. And also don't be worried that, I covered so many things today: Varnamala, Swaraha, Vyanjanani, Anuswara, Varga Panchama, all this. All these aspects will be while teaching each of these verses, your teacher will be highlighting these aspects, like when a Mahaprana comes, where there is an Alpa Prana, where you have to pronounce a complete Visarga, where you need not pronounce the complete Visarga. So please be assured of that, and don't worry if um, you're not able to totally understand the complete aspects of pronunciation here. The other thing is, I just wanted to highlight, generally, the way it has come from ages for all of us, before, from ancient times, is it's Shravanena. Shruti, so Shravana Gnanam. So the way in the past our ancestors, they've all learned is just by listening and repeating. Not that they had any script in front of them and they followed all the aspects. So it is mainly by Shravana, so by listening. So if you are able to listen carefully and pick up those pronunciation aspects, you would be able to catch up on whatever we discussed today. So with this, I think we have covered the pronunciation tips. I'll just, I'll just try to answer a couple of questions with respect to the pronunciation. So the fifth letter of the Chavarga and there's a question about the fifth letter of Chavarga and fifth letter of Tavarga. They are different. Fifth letter of Tavarga is t, th, d, dh, n. Fifth letter of Chavarga is ch, j, j, ny. So they are different. If you say the use of it, let me just point out where we have used Vishnum. In this Vishnum, na, which is the fifth letter of Tavarga, na, ta, tha, da, dha, na. Okay, so the fifth letter of Chavarga. Let me go back and point that out. Dhananjayaha. So in this you can see the fifth letter of Chavarga, Dhananjayaha. There it was Vishnu. So that is the difference. If after Anuswara there is, you can pronounce the anuswara completely. So, for example, there is a question. Sorry, let me read out the question. If after anuswara there is a yoga avargiya vyanjana shashasa, then how to pronounce? So, let's take this example. Okay, we have visarga and sha. Yudhishthirashantanavam, similar to sa. The way we pronounced, we added sa when visarga was followed by sha. Then it is Yudhishthirashantanavam. But when there is an anuswara, you can pronounce the anuswara completely. There is no specific rule as such for shashasa. The rule for shashasa is only when there is a visarga and then there is sha, sha, arsa. Then we do not pronounce the complete visarga. But whereas, let me pick up a different example. Swajanah ma bhut sakalam shakalam sakrit. So you can pronounce this, the anuswara, as it is. So there is not, you can look at this example. So only when there is a visarga followed by shashasa, then the rule will differ. So otherwise, it is the same as you pronounce other letters. But if there is a Vargiya Vyanjana, you all know now that Varga Panchama, the fifth letter, will replace the Anuswara. So that Varga Panchama is only for Vargiya Vyanjanani and not for Sha, Sha and Sa. Okay, where you can access this PPT. I think I will request Mahodaya to get it uploaded to the course page. No, I am not sure if it is already uploaded. If it isn't uploaded, then I will inform them so that they can do that. Okay, so I think okay. There is an interesting question, how English representation is useful to improve pronunciation. I got, okay. Yeah, so Mahodaya, there is a question that it is how English representation is useful. The reason why English representation or English script has been put is not if all of us are familiar with Devanagari script or, the Sanskrit to read in Sanskritam, Devanagari. So for that reason, the transliteration has been provided so that they would be able to read that. So that is the reason we have different scripts also in different languages. So I hope it clarifies. There are a few more questions about Avagraha Chinna and others. So I think what we would do is we would cover that as and when we get the example, when we use the Avagraha Chinna. When we come across those specific verses, we will cover that. Don't worry. If you miss, there is a question on if we missed the class because of emergencies or unavoidable circumstances, then there will be a recording uploaded onto the YouTube. You can access that, or if you visit your course page, on the course page itself, you can find the session available for you to access. So need not worry. All the class recordings will be uploaded. Okay. Regarding the meeting pass code and other things, if you are facing any issues related to logging in, not able to find some material on the course page, Vyoma technical team will be able to help you. You have to write a mail to them. To Sanskrit from home email ID, which you can find it on the course page or on the site, and they would help you to get that sorted out. I hope I have answered almost other questions. So any other things, like, there are other things which I have intentionally not touched upon, like, with respect to Vyanjanani or like Avagraha Chinna, because we would do that better when you come across those specific examples. And what we have tried to cover is a very basic aspect of pronunciation, which is relevant from Vishnu Sahasranama perspective. How do we memorize? Any tips on that? Your teacher would be able to give you better tips, but if you ask me, it is only by chanting regularly and by practice with bhakti and devotion is how we would be able to memorize any stotram for that matter, not just Vishnu Sahasranama. Thank you so much for attending this session and patiently going through this. We will end the class with this. So let us chant a Mangala Shloka and finish. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Dhanyavadaha, pranams. You can join for the next class on Monday with Mahodaya. Ram Ram Ram.